Welcome to Politics Done Right on KPFT. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Give me a call at 713-526-5738. That is 713-526-KPFT. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for spending this time with me. Shannon, Fun Drive is over, and your overstressed self is probably temporarily over.
Well, thank goodness Fun Drive is over, and we did well as a show together because of listeners like you who called and responded. So thank you very much for standing up for this show and doing your part.
We could not have done it without you. We could not have done it without Shannon. We could not have done it without this wonderful staff that we have out here. But today we have a full program. We don't have to be pitching anymore, but I still want to tell folks you should still go to kpft.org.
Yeah, as a station, we're far behind.
As a station, we're far behind. So we really need to keep things going, don't we, Shannon?
That is so correct.
That is so correct. But you know what, folks? Things are going to be great because, as the great progressive folks that we are, we make sure that things happen. And then to my good old folks on Facebook Live, thanks for being out here. If you send me messages on Facebook Live, for some reason I'm looking at the screen right now and I can't see the things that you're sending me. So please go ahead and remember to go ahead and tweet with hashtag Politics Done Right if you have something that you want to tell me, because I don't know what's happening with this baby here. And I notice I have a block on my thing as well, but I'll fix that up for you all later. Anyway, Shannon, what's up with you today?
Well, it was a great 4th of July holiday, and I'm excited we get to talk about NPR tweeting out the Declaration of Independence. I thought that was a great idea. I thought it was clever and an interesting way of celebrating the holiday. Yes. But some people did not agree. They didn't get the joke. Not joke.
It's not a joke. They do it every year. They just finally did it by tweets this year. You know what I mean?
Yes. And that didn't go well for some people.
I don't know why it didn't go over well because, it's the Declaration of what? Independence. It's what formed this country. It's what got everything going.
That's what July 4th is about.
Could you tell them again?
That's what July 4th is all about.
Yeah. So, folks, take it easy. Don't. Or
should I say the 4th of July? That's the more proper way of saying the holiday's name.
You are Miss Proper. I don't think I need to have the proper, what is it, etymology or whatever you call it. I don't have to have that.
It's just the name of the holiday.
It's just the name. Thank you, Shannon. It's just the name of the holiday. Anyhow, folks, we need to get the program started, and I'll get it started as soon as my book here. We got a late start. We were back there in the green room chatting it up. And by then, Shannon said, Egberto, do you realize you got to get into the studio? And I'm like, I don't even have all our video and all our stuff set up. So we finally have it set up. And now what I'm doing is I'm bringing up my pad with the show. And as soon as I get to the show, guess what we're going to do? We're going to start. And the name of the show today is Were NPR Tweets... that's not the one that I want to... That's not how I want to start. I think I want to start it with the actual name of the show, which is NPR Tweets Were Not Inciting Revolution, a Revolution It Described. And I want you to think about that closely, folks. I really want you to think about that closely. It's a revolution that was already described. Now, look. Today, we will discuss the reaction to NPR's tweeting of the Declaration of Independence. But it will not be what you think it is. It will be quite different. We take it to the fundamentals of what created this country. But I want to get to the program. So before I get to the program, I want to remind all our listeners that KPFT is a bastion of intelligent information, intelligent voices and programs. As a political activist myself, my favorites are The Monitor with
Mark Babawi every Monday. That's at 7 p.m.
And then, of course, we have Think Wing Radio
with Mike Honig. That's every Monday at 9 p.m.
And, of course, we have Partisan Gridlock with
Jeff Berg every Friday at 3 p.m.
And there is Open Journal.
Marla Blue, Dwayne Bradley, and a huge team of people that put together that show each and every morning. Well, not every morning. It's weekday mornings at 8 a.m.
And we also have Jazz, Latino, Afro-Cuban Latin Jazz at its very best with
Juan Flores. That is every Monday at 10 p.m.
And, of course, we have The Human Condition at 3 p.m., followed by Free Minstrel Show with Don and Dwayne at 4 p.m. on Fridays on the KPFT HD3 side. Check out our full schedule at kpft.org, where you can find programming from music to politics to medicine to the eclectic. KPFT is listener-supported public community radio station, so please remember that if you like what you hear, visit kpft.org and ensure we remain a strong, viable community radio station that provides news, programming, and information not influenced by the corporatocracy. Usually, Shannon would jump in and say, not influenced by the
corporatocracy. Of course, we have plenty of people calling in.
But people are already calling, so she's like, she gives me the eye. But anyhow, it's by the corporatocracy. This is KPFT 90.1 FM, Houston, Texas. We want to hear your voice. We want to hear your thoughts. Please remember, if you want to send us a message, send it to Politics Done Right, or I should say, hashtag Politics Done Right. You can listen to the show on live stream. You can go to Facebook Live. We are streaming it as well. You can listen to the vlogcast at kpft.org or go to politicsdoneright.com. We are all over the place. We're listened to all over, folks. So without further ado, I should say, here you go.
It's time for the weekly blog post.
And folks, before you start calling Shannon about what we're going to talk about, before you take it in the wrong context of what we're talking about, I want you to be deliberate in thought, I beg, for what I'm trying to say. Because I think, I had never, I'd read the Declaration of Independence several times in school, right? We do that a lot. We had to know it. It's interesting. I grew up in another country, and it's interesting that in other countries, all of us are required to learn things about the United States. I guess it just proves that, in fact, we are a superpower, right? It's because all over the world, we know about the Declaration of Independence. Many people across the world can also recite the Constitution. That is just how it is. I think that simply comes with power. Anyhow, the title of the blog post is, Were NPR Tweets Inciting Revolution? One's terrorist is the other's revolutionary. And here it goes. People following NPR's Twitter feed were shocked by their 4th of July tweets. It seemed many Trump supporters believed it was NPR inciting some insurrection. No, it was the Declaration of Independence in 140-character snippets. Those little tweets. There is a critical take to this that many may not have considered. The NPR mix-up should open the door to look at all the different forms of insurrections around the world and at home in a different context. The Declaration of Independence is not a peace treaty. It is a document of war. The following snippets are probative, and this is from the Declaration of Independence. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. And then after a few words, they say that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends. It is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on some principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to effect their safety and happiness. Continuing, and callers, I'm getting to you soon. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for the future security. Man, when I reread that, it was like, really? Think about those words, folks. Think about those words. Continuing with the blog. The Declaration of Independence represents the writing of a group of men who decided to break off from another country. It is tantamount to Texas declaring independence from the United States. The Founding Fathers had a list of grievances with their government, and for all practical purposes, they not only overthrew it in their locale, but they also took the governed land. They believed that they were so aggrieved that it was God-given, it was a God-given requirement to break away at all costs, with war if necessary. Ironically, there are many subgroups in the United States, both past and present, that could present a case of being more aggrieved by their government than the wealthy colonists who signed the Declaration of Independence. Native Americans, blacks, Latinos, the white permanent underclass in Appalachia. Ring any bells? But they didn't. In a long-suffering manner, they avoided war and massive bloodshed as they continue to keep the pressure on the ever-existing plutocracy for generations. There are dozens of aggrieved people and uprisings occurring on virtually every continent in the world. Some have chosen the path of our founding fathers, and some have chosen the same path of some of the still aggrieved Americans. Some have come to the conclusion that the aggrieved acquiescing to slow, peaceful change is not optimal, and to some, very futile. America is lucky so far that the growing number of the aggrieved segments of its society still holds hope. That hope is running thin, and it is in the interest of those in power to note that while we don't know where the tipping point is, none of us do, it is really, really there. Folks, the telephone number 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Before I get to the program, I want to introduce John Rosenthal, who is here. We are going to have a progressive forum of candidates in Houston sometime on the 20th of July, and I want him to talk a little bit about it on phone, so I'm coming to you right away. And the reason I want to bring this in is because as we get transient people throughout coming in and off of the radio, we want to make sure that they hear about this important thing. You heard my blog of the week. You hear what we always talk about here about actually stepping up and getting things done. These folks are doing that. John, speak.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. My name's John Rosenthal, and I'm the president for Indivisible of Texas District 7. So we're hosting a candidate forum for progressive candidates to oppose our representative in the United States Congress. His name is John Culberson. It's our aim to flip the district and replace him with a progressive in Washington. And so we have 7 declared candidates who have declared to oppose Culberson in the next election for 2018, and they will all attend our forum on July the 20th. It's going to be at the Yes Prep Elementary. Let's see, or is it a middle school? I don't remember, but it's.
That's all right. We're going to get back to it a little later. Just tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, this will be our second in the series, and the first one, when we had a great turnout, a lot of people, a lot of energy in the room. We were moderated by Mustafa Tamiz, who's a Democrat strategist who appears pretty frequently on CNN and Fox, and he moderated our forum for the first 4 declared candidates. So this one will be bigger and better. We certainly have 7 instead of 4. and I'll be your moderator for this one.
Well,
and we're going to take questions from the audience.
Excellent. Well, so this is going to be July 20th.
July the 20th.
And you're going to give me, later on I'm going to ask you to speak again, but you're going to give me some information that I can put on the website so that we can go ahead and get this stuff widely advertised to let people be actually a part of, actually get integrated and engage with their body politic, right?
Right. Absolutely. So come out and join us. We're going to be at Yes Prep in Gulfton.
Thank you very much. We're going to come back to you, John, but
Okay.
let's go to the phones. Doug, come on in, Doug.
What line?
Number one.
Oh, wow. Caught me off guard, man. How are you doing?
Hey, Doug, I didn't mean to take you off guard. Come on, talk to me now.
Alberto, I respect you. I want to disagree 100%.
No problem at all. I love that.
Okay.
Talk to me.
All right. I'm just to lay it on the table.
Yes.
Now, you're talking about basically peaceful, gradual change versus an attempt at some kind of violent revolution.
Absolutely. Yes.
And you're saying the peaceful, gradual change is not optimal.
No, that's not what I said at all. In fact, I wasn't even implying that. What I said,
I badly misunderstood you in that
you
case.
badly
Okay.
misunderstood me, Doug. Come on, Doug. Let me tell you what I'm saying.
Okay.
I was warning the body politic, the people in power, that
They're not listening to our show, by the way.
Yes,
but okay.
but yes, they're going to listen to the show. If you will, my shows and all the shows here at KPFT that discuss these issues are all over the place. We make sure they can be streamed. We make sure that it's all over.
Okay.
So you can
What's that
help.
like? Yes,
You can
yes,
help
okay,
by
all right.
sharing them. But here's the deal. What I'm saying, I gave the illustration of what our founding fathers did. In other words, the reason I gave the illustration of what our founding fathers did is to remind folks that our founding fathers took things into their hands and said things are so bad that we had to do separation. We had to go to war with our own country. That's what occurred. That's a fact. That's a statement of fact. Secondly, I said that there are a lot more people in this country, different subsets in this country that can claim to be more aggrieved than the rich men who our founding fathers were, who had some grievance with the crown.
You listed some of them: Native Americans, African Americans,
Exactly.
in slavery. Yes.
Exactly.
Poor white people. Yes.
And poor white people. I made sure to include that as well to let folks know this wasn't some sort of a antagonistic whatever. So the idea then, there are a different sect in this country that are very much aggrieved. Third, I said that be careful, because given that their aggrievement is much worse than what the founding fathers faced, it's not at all impossible that they may take the same steps that the founding fathers took. And as such, I said in the last paragraph, let me finish, so that the audience at large would hear, because if you misunderstood it, it probably means that I wasn't clear enough, and I'd like the audience to not misunderstand it as well. It meant as well that we are at close to a tipping point, and unless we decide to change, that tipping point could be reached. Clear? Is that clear enough?
Fair enough. That's fair enough.
Do you agree now, my friend?
No, I don't agree.
Okay, make your point, sir.
Okay. Well, I was going to call in and I'll try and tie it together. There is a great YouTube video called Humans Need Not Apply.
Right.
And I've been preaching that middle-class jobs have been eroding for a long time.
Yes, it has.
But when I preach that, I get very little traction.
Mm-hmm.
But this video, I've talked to people about it, and this really seems to perk up their interest.
Okay.
It's about 15 minutes long. It's about 3 years old.
Right.
Not right away. And it's basically about automation, that automation's a force of nature almost.
Right.
The guy spends a lot of time on automated driverless cars.
Yes.
And that can also work in warehouses. And he says approximately 3 million people in the United States, have a job of one sort or another by driving.
Love you, Doug, but kind of speed up the point for me, please, my friend.
Yes, okay. Well, it's a hugely important thing. And then at the end of the video, he talks about that the Great Depression had, quote, unquote, only 25% unemployment.
Right.
So what I see is that, we just drift more and more. Most of us go, you and I are probably, and people calling in and people listening, are probably somewhat unusual in that we're activists.
Right.
We think it's rational to try and change the world.
Yes.
Most people think that's completely pointless.
Yes, I
Just
understand.
accept the world. All it is maneuver within it. So, but the thing with automation may get people thinking, that, gee, we've got to do some smart things, and we better, kind of do them early when, we can have kind of more of a long arc.
Right. Now, come to your point,
I highly
friend.
recommend that video. I want to say its name one more time.
Okay.
You'll probably find it just doing a Google search.
I tell you better than that. I want you to do me a favor. Go to the show, the link to the show. Just go to our Facebook page and add that to add the link to that so that people can get directly to it. Okay?
I'll do that.
I really appreciate.
Say the name one more time, or would that?
Yes, please do. Please do.
Okay, and I'll say it, and you give a good show. It is called "Humans Need Not Apply."
Absolutely. Here, listen, folks, and let me ask you a favor of you now. We need folks to know that there is a KPFT, especially after what you just said. A lot of folks that should be listening aren't listening. Well, you can help that. So you make sure that our links get shared out there on social media. And please keep calling and all that good stuff. Okay, my friend? You have a wonderful day, sir.
You too. Bye.
All right, let's go to line number 2. NPR tweeting. Let's go. Alex, talk to me, my brother.
Hey, how you doing?
Great. Talk to me, sir.
At all their NPR tweets, but did they mention the part of the Declaration that talks about King George stoking the merciless savages who were going to kill everyone?
Yes, I read the entire the thing. Okay, and let me tell you the reason I didn't include that part in the quote. Okay, because the point that I was making was bigger. Whenever you start bringing in the racialized stuff in that manner within the Declaration of Independence, you get into a different argument than you want to have. So I understand exactly what you're saying, my brother. The reason I didn't add that in is that it would have added another dimension that I wasn't wanting to talk about. I wanted to talk more about something that's affecting us all right now.
I understand. I mean, you're talking about the people's desire for revolution.
Well,
I want to stress that it doesn't necessarily have to be violent, and there's plenty of examples of revolution not being violent. The Cuban Revolution and also the Bolshevik Revolution were not violent until people tried to come back and take it. The White Army murdered millions of people.
Right.
But the point I was trying to get at is that I don't think that it's a negligent point that they mention these merciless savages, because what did they do after?
Yes, we can talk about the Trail of Tears. We can talk about all those issues. You're absolutely right. Look, I love that you said that.
It's an important issue because the people who founded this country were the wealthiest people in the land.
Exactly.
George Washington was the largest landowner there was.
Yes.
He owned more land than anyone.
Francis Scott Key owned 7 slaves. Yes.
What I'm getting at is the reason they broke from the king is because he would not let them settle more of native land because he was afraid of insurrection from the natives. They didn't do it because they thought that they were nice people and they were freeing Americans from unrepresentative taxation. They were doing it for their own selfish interests. And they probably stoked reactionary and legitimate elements in America to get support, just like Trump does.
Alex,
they're not very much different.
Alex, you're a very smart man. Let me tell you the reason I don't put the case out in the correct context that you have. Okay? The reason I don't do that again is we are in a country where
people.
Yes, that's one thing. But we're in a country where people don't read a lot, right? So you can't bring those deep issues that you've just brought there. Because remember, most people here, when they go to school and they read their textbooks, they're indoctrinated by the text, right? So you have to come from a point of view that bring things a spoonful at a time, and eventually you get there. My goal is for results, not to get people really, or to go and to simply go overboard. That's the same reason I didn't bring in the savages part of the Declaration. I could have just printed the entire
Declaration. We've had half a century of progressivism that handholds and is nice and has
No, it's not about being nice. It's not about being nice. It's about being effective. I may fail in certain instances, but I think I'll be successful in others. And like I said, I love to have folks like you calling into the show because you add another dimension, right? Because I am not the one that's preaching this. You're a knowledgeable person calling into the show, bringing up a point, which I think that dialogue goes over differently than if I was the person who put all of that in that blog of the week. So I thank you for calling for that matter. Right?
Yeah. I mean, you have a platform, but I really think you should go further, man. I think you're too centrist.
Okay, no, I am not. Oh, Shannon just laughed. You know why? I am likely the most left-wing person in this station. The problem is, as far as narrative, I don't come across that way. But as far as the beliefs and what I think will actually work, I'm probably more left-wing. But anyhow, look, anything else you want
Bring
to
it
add?
to the forefront. Isn't that why you don't have sponsors?
No, we have. Well, our show have pretty good sponsors, but I mean, we need to get sponsors for the entire. Shannon.
Well, listener sponsors. We have great listener sponsors.
Yeah, we have great listener sponsors. Yes. So I mean,
Exactly.
yeah, but
maybe you should stoke the flames. I'm just saying. If you've got that on your back burner, I mean, that's why I call in, because I know you got it. You got the potential, but I don't think people need to be couched. I think it's time to tell people like.
Well, you know what? You stay
like it is.
You stay with the show, brother. Let me ask you this, and you stay with the show. Make sure and promote this show and others, and make sure share this stuff around, and we'll come around. Okay, my friend.
All right.
We'll come around. But look, thank you very much for your call, sir.
Yeah.
You have a wonderful day. Okay, do we go to line 3? Okay, come on in, William. Talk to me.
How you doing, Edberto?
I am doing fine. Talk to me, my brother.
Did you get my message about the video that the NRA is putting out?
Yes, and if you would recall, I blogged that video as well. So you're
I'm a dinosaur. I don't do any of that stuff.
William, am I going to have to come out there and get you in front of a computer or something, my brother?
Yeah, you might want to move in for about 2 years. What I tell everybody. Yeah, if you come over to my house and stay for about 2 years, you might get me around. But anyway,
Yes.
Donald Trump in his little speech in Poland this morning.
Hold 1 second, William. I need to give a station ID. This is KPFT 90.1 FM, Houston, Texas. And I also need to say, folks, this is a call-in show, and we do have lines open, 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Come on in, William.
Yeah, so anyway, he used a code word when he was addressing the Poland oligarchs.
Yes.
He said, I'm going to protect your families. He left everybody else out, just like he's doing right here in the United States.
Well, look, Trump will always be Trump. And those people, I wrote a blog 3-4 days ago for just before the 4th of July at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. There was a big program held by Pastor Jeffers, okay? And what he did is he said that Donald Trump was actually divine. In other words, Donald Trump, I mean, this is serious stuff. Donald Trump was divine. Donald Trump was their gift from God, and Donald Trump was giving them their another chance. It was giving America another chance for having stayed away from God. Okay?
Well, the revolution that you're talking about is what they're planning.
Right, and my thing,
and the people that are going to be demonstrating, they're going to make sure that it looks like they're the ones starting the disturbance, just like they did today in Poland.
right. But look, let me just say, William, it is our job, and we can do a good job of that, right?
We need to warn the demonstrators on how to vet all the people that are demonstrating.
You know, indivisible.
They're going to infiltrate
Yes.
and cause something, and it's going to multiply into what we've talked about before.
Right.
And
Right.
you know where I'm going with this.
Yes,
so
I know where you're
We don't
going.
need to go there, but you can if you want.
Right. But let me tell you, William. What we are doing with this program and others is we are trying our best to educate. Okay.
I know. Well, you need to beyond educate. You need to warn the people that want to get out there and
I think I would posit that warning is a form of education. Won't you, John?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
And,
of course it is, but
Yeah.
no, it's going to happen.
Yes.
yeah, in the course of...
They know that everybody's going to vote the other way this year.
Right.
You know, in 18. They're going to make sure we don't even have an election, just like Michael Moore said. If he gets elected, no more elections.
Right,
They're
well-
not going to have an election in 18.
Look,
That's the plan.
we'll see what happens. But let me tell you,
Once
William.
the ball gets rolling, you're not going to be able to do anything about it.
William, I'm confident that with the Williams around, that we will be able to that we.
Anyway, I got a bunch of people that are videotaping me and putting me on the on the internet, and I mean,
Hey,
Only took 25 years.
no problem. I got to go. My phones are heating up really. So let me talk to you later, William. Thank you for calling. Remember to share our stuff. Talk. You don't do videos. I mean, you don't do Facebook, but you make sure and tell other people about KPFT.
I'm a dinosaur. What I have is post-traumatic syndrome.
All right, dinosaur. Let me tell dinosaur.
I got ran over and re-ran over.
No,
and
hey,
re-ran over
I
again.
hear you. Dinosaur,
Later, bye.
my dinosaur, here's your job. Your job going for, I think you hung up, but you're listening on the radio. Your dinosaur is to tell folks about KPFT. All right, let's go to line number 4 with Scott. Come on in, Scott. How are you doing, my friend?
Thank you. I do not think we can have a revolution unless enough voters reject Republicans, especially in off years like 2018.
Right.
Yeah. And I think it's going to have to be negative for some time. Positive solutions will have to come later.
Right.
Like single payer, that they're trying to work something out in California, but there are complications like a section of the California Constitution that limits taxes.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think World War II was about defeating Japan and Nazi Germany, not about getting positive goodies.
Right.
In fact, I grew up in the shadow of World War II. I was born in 1941. So that was really my first exposure to politics. Like a day in 1945 when Papa comes home and takes me and Mom in the car, and the cars are bumper to bumper and blowing horns and all kinds of whooping and hollering, and you know what that was?
What that was?
Japan surrendered.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of my most distinct memories of the war. Of course, I knew by 1944 that Japan and Nazi Germany were enemies, and I was confused about Russia.
Okay, John, let me hear your point, not John. Scott, let me hear your point. Anything else you want to add, my dear friend?
Well, I don't think I don't think politics is all that positive. I think it's a lot largely about defeating people who govern badly.
All right. Well, thank you very much, John, hear me. I keep calling you John, Scott. Thank you for calling, Scott, as usual, and you keep listening, my friend, and keep telling folks about the program and the station, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, let's go to line number 1. John, come on in, John.
Good afternoon, Egberto.
How you doing, my friend?
Oh, good. How you doing?
All right. Talk to me, sir.
Yeah, the second caller was talking about the Cuban Revolution. That was definitely a violent revolution from the very beginning, and I just want to correct him on that. As far as what you were talking about, I think you're exaggerating a little bit. I don't think we're even anywhere close to a revolutionary point in our country. I just don't see that happening. We have very few acts of political violence. I mean, it's almost all done by individuals. There's really no organizing I've seen.
Can I let me interrupt you there for 1 second, because what you're saying is correct, but I'm from a place, right? And I strongly believe that humans have the same way, they behave the same no matter where you're at, right? And that America had some other realities that made revolution and insurrections and that sort of things a bit more difficult. The one with the founding fathers, well, their insurrection was an insurrection of the rich, right? But however, in other countries, it doesn't happen slowly. You just get to a tipping point, and it's like the derivative of something, right? It just explodes, and that's what I'm talking about. I think I know what you're saying, but I do think that in effect, and I think, to put it bluntly, it could happen something like in 2018. And I'm not talking about everybody pick up arms or go, but I'm talking about things just get so out of whack because people finally feel they have no recourse. Let's posit this. Right now, let's say something really happens with care. Some folks are simply not having health care, not having support from the social state. Don't you think that can be a trigger? I do.
Well, I mean, no, I don't think it will.
Okay.
To be honest, because I mean, was it a trigger in the years before the ACA was passed?
No,
I mean,
but
it was actually much worse than even what they're talking about now with the bill.
No, let me correct that. No, it was not. And you know the numbers, the numbers of today. I understand what you're saying. Obamacare is a good filter for what has occurred in healthcare. Obamacare and health insurance from employers is a good filter, but when you remove those two filters, the healthcare state that would be left with is a lot worse than what we came into.
Okay, well, I mean, we really don't know what it's going to look like.
True.
To be honest with
True.
you, I mean that's what we're having the argument about.
Right.
But I mean, either way, if Republicans do pass a bill, it'll be extremely bad. Before ACA came in, it was extremely bad, and it was a major issue in the Democratic Party. But I mean, nobody was talking about a revolution. Nobody. I mean, I just think you're essentially exaggerating. One thing that I do think that can happen, once things in a positive light is something like Quebec, to where Quebec actually had an election. I believe it was in
they tried to secede from Canada. Yeah.
Right. If people really feel that way, I mean, I know that the Constitution doesn't allow that, and I think that should be a possibility that we should amend the Constitution if people feel strongly enough that they do want to get out of the United States. But I mean, this has happened before in other countries. I mean, look at the break of the Soviet Union. I mean, there wasn't really any violence. I mean, all these countries.
I was not. Remember, read my thing again. I wasn't talking about revolution having to be violent. I was talking about there being a revolution of change. I wasn't necessarily saying that people are. No part of my post did I ever talk about people picking up arms or anything like that. I'm just talking about a revolution, kicking the current government out. Now, that's.
But I mean, that's done through democratic means, though. I mean, you have changes all the time in democratic means. I mean, this is what just happened with Trump coming in the office, and the Republicans. I mean, that's the most extreme change that we've had, in my lifetime.
True.
And so, I mean, I guess I'm focusing more on the violent aspect, and I disagree with that aspect.
Let me just say one thing,
otherwise,
John.
it's just a democratic change.
Yeah, let me just say one thing, John. Remember this, okay? I've been calling all these things, and so far, the calls haven't been too bad. But here's the thing. When I talk about a revolution occurring, I'm not talking about necessarily a violent revolution, but at the same time, I'm not discounting that. I could easily see a revolution occurring from the right side, okay? That as well. And a revolution occurring from the right side, I do see as something that would be violent.
Right, but I mean, how would they actually win that? I mean, it's not like, I mean, we have
It's not about winning.
It's an army. We have, people, in law enforcement. I just don't see that. I mean, when you're talking about other countries, I mean, you actually see very few democratic countries that actually go back into kind of a fascism. I mean, you can make a point that that's happening here in America and make a valid point about that.
John,
but
I got to go to a break, but I disagree with you on one thing, and that is that democratic governments won't behave that way. I could list. I mean, one of the issues with a lot of people is we think very United States centric and not what is occurring in countries in the world that some of us.
I'm talking about Europe too. Name one country.
I'm not even talking about you see, and that's the thing. We're very Eurocentric. There are lots.
I'm talking about advanced, democracies.
And John, my friend, that's what I'm talking about as well. If you take a look at the narrative, advanced countries, developed countries, industrialized countries, and all of that. Those are concepts of economies, right? But there are a whole lot of other countries, maybe not what America would call industrialized, but are great countries that these things have occurred into. So we have to kind of not be so Eurocentric. But my brother, thank you as usual for calling. Keep calling. I got to go. Shannon wants me to go to a break, okay?
All right.
Thank you, brother. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Egberto, and good afternoon. It is currently partly cloudy and 89 degrees. It's 65% humidity, and it feels like well over 100 out there. Scattered isolated thunderstorms in the Pearland, Rosenberg, and a little bit inside the loop at this moment. It's just isolated and moving through the area. And partly sunny Friday with a high near 92. 50% chance of thunderstorms tomorrow. Heat index in the triple digits, so be prepared. And let's take a brief look at our roadways. On the West Loop northbound at Westheimer, there's an accident affecting the left shoulder. And down the road, the accident has been cleared right near West Park. Traffic is backed up to Evergreen. And on 288 outbound, right before the South Loop, there's an accident blocking 2 center lanes, backing up traffic to 59. And on the Gulf Freeway outbound, right before the South Loop, that accident has been cleared, but traffic remains backed up heavy all the way to up to downtown area. And on the Gulf Freeway outbound, right by that South Loop, they're talking about that's cleared also. And also just a bit of traffic is starting to get slow on the Katy Freeway outbound from Beltway 8 out to Highway 6. That's a look at your afternoon commute in your Houston area weather and traffic. I'm Shannon McCurdy, and you're listening to KPFT Houston 90.1. Back to you, Egberto.
Okay, folks, the telephone number is 713-526-5738. Let's go to línea número 2. Gary, come on in.
Hey, Egberto, how you doing?
All right, how you doing, sir?
All right, I just called to make 2 very quick comments.
Okay.
Now, what was the name of that fellow you mentioned who said that Donald Trump was divinely inspired? Or
Jeffers, Reverend Jeffers from the First Baptist Church in Dallas.
Okay, that's interesting. I just wanted to point out, if you go and Google Donald Trump Antichrist, all right? Now, I'm not a religious man, okay?
Right.
So I'm just saying you will see like pages and pages and pages of people saying that he fulfills every detail of the revelation of the apocalypse, and it is kind of scary if you read it. I mean, if I'm not a religious man and I read it and it spooks me, I can't believe anyone who is religious isn't a little freaked out. But I wanted to tell you that 2 things. Donald Trump's the best thing that ever happened to this country because he is going to single-handedly destroy the future of the Republican Party, thank God. And number 2, the changes you and John were talking about, violent, not violent, whatever, are inevitable because we are facing, if you study your history...
I know where you're going, but go ahead.
All right, the perfect storm. Number 1...
Overpopulation.
No, I'm not going to go there.
Okay.
I'm talking about you go back to the Roman Empire. You can go back to the Han Dynasty. You can go back to it is the separation of wealth where 1% of the humans have everything. Like the kings had the castles, and the rest of us work their fields. That's cause of revolution. Now you can ask King George, and you can ask anybody. Ask Thomas Becket. Number 2.
Yes, sir.
In 25 years, this country will be more than 50% non-European. Okay, now whether that's good or bad, right or wrong, up or down, that is a monumental change that's going to have. That's why Donald Trump got elected, because of the change of demographics.
Right.
You've got the economy changing radically. That's a cause. And you've got demographics. Just look at Europe, what's happening there, just by refugees, let alone. And then number 3, you win the population, okay? Now, we've got 350 million people in this country, and it's going to be over 500 million in another 25 years. What do you think is going to happen to this poor little
Gary,
planet?
okay, 2 things. First of all, I get what you're saying. Now, I want to tell folks about the demographic change. I'll do that on another show, but it is not what a lot of folks are reporting about. Oh, this country, after 20, 40, or 50, it's not going to be 50% European, but I'll take that another day. But my phones are filled up, Gary.
On CNN today.
I know it was, but
lying? Is that fake
no, they're
news?
not lying. But what they're doing is there's this great group of people called Latinos that they somehow put demographically as one group, which isn't the right way to look at it. But I wrote about that in a blog. I'll talk about that another time, my brother. So I got to go to another call, Gary. But thank you for calling. Thank you for listening as usual. Okay.
Yep, bye.
Thank you now. All right, let's go. Somebody got disconnected. Let's go to Ryan on line 3, and then I'll jump. Ryan, come on in.
Hey, I'm an avid listener. I usually listen every Thursday.
Thank you, sir.
believe it's a man.
My thoughts on the current election, last year's election. Well, let me just say that I supported Bernie during the primaries. But I also voted, and I ended up voting for Jill Stein during the election, and I don't regret that.
Okay. Is there something else you want to add, my friend?
Well, I sometimes kind of think the country might have been in better shape than it is right now if Jill had won.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you. I disagree with your vote, but I mean, your vote is your own. You know, I mean, I can't argue with that. My contention is, I fight. Like personally, I'm a progressive. I'm a very left-wing progressive. In the primaries, I fight like hell to get the candidate I want. And if I don't get it, I look for the person that is going to be a little bit better than the other. Now, some people look at me as a sellout for doing that. Well, then I guess in that case, for those, that's what I am. But again, I respect everybody's choice of votes as long as everybody respect the results of what they've done. And while having a President Trump does not personally affect me, it personally affects a lot of the people I love. It personally affects a lot of the people I care.
I hear you.
And it affects a lot of the people I care for. And I think then that means that if I had done anything that would have helped him come to fruition in this country, then I'm partially responsible for it. In which case, my dear friend, I have to say you're partially responsible for Trump. But still,
I beg to differ.
I know, but again, that's fine. We listen. Let me tell you something. The one thing that we all have to do is respect everybody's independence and everybody's own vote, and that's what I do. Thank you very much for calling, Rand. Is there anything else you want to say real quickly?
That's it.
Thank you very much. You keep listening and keep telling folks about these shows. Okay, my friend?
Absolutely.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day now.
You too.
All right, let's go to line number 4. Come on in, MOD. You have to be quick on this one. We're running out of time. Come on in, MOD.
Hello. Do we argue the result of something, or do we look at the cause, Roberto? I mean,
well, I think look, I love your latter. We look at the cause, right? I think when you look at the cause of things, then what occurs when you look at the cause of things is that you can prevent it from happening, or you can put up structures to prevent it from happening again.
Yeah, it's real simple logic, but if we have a dialect where all we do is argue the result, I mean, I firmly believe Hillary took Bernie out so Trump can be there, so they can do what they do best, and that's a transfer of wealth. You know that all the lobbying from, K Street in 2005 down to ALAC at the cities and parish state levels now is full force. There's, China's corporations are, run by the government, and the U.S.'s corporations are run by, the government here is run by the corporations. And the end result, both are corporate fascism. And we've been going down this road for a while, since Reagan especially, right?
Yes, but let me tell you, MOD, what you're saying, I can't dispute, or I can confirm or deny, right? I can't say that. Now, whether was Hillary in some conspiracy with Donald Trump, all that good stuff? Hey,
no, not conspiracy, but just interest, people of interest,
right? Look, I don't doubt that. If you hear my shows every week, I'm against the plutocracy, period, because I think the plutocracy is a detriment to the American society, the American people, the masses, period, right? When we have elections and so forth, that is where we're supposed to mitigate that. This time we didn't. This time we did everything opposed to what should have happened, period. And by the way, you're correct, likely that if Hillary was the one that came into the fold, a lot of that would have been the same as well. Now,
but do you think that if there's this time wasted, or to keep us distracted, Roberto is talking about Russia and Trump?
Yes,
the
absolutely. Yes, the collusion.
Really, the media.
Yes.
To make sure that this happened, because are we that stupid? Do we really have that attention span to just only believe the BS that? I'm sorry that we're down to this level right now, but there's like 8 bases, no U.S. bases in Syria. We don't talk about that.
Right.
Yemen's being starved to death right now by our taxpayer dollars. We're going into Iran next, but we're just rolling around this stupid stuff. How did the college electoral say that
college.
Trump was more qualified than Clinton, who's probably the most qualified candidate in modern history for president. That right there should be a...
Right. Look, the Electoral College has always been a rubber stamp, right? A rubber stamp for what the states want to do. So that's...
They're smart people, right? They're
Yes.
professors, scholars. Why would they vote for Trump, though?
Look, let me tell you something. They are following the rules of their states. I think it's wrong, but again, those are things that we have to mitigate. MOD, I really...
Can just say that, that strife you're talking about, it's been practiced for a long time, guys. Gladio in Europe.
Yep.
And then Gene Sharp with his Colored Revolutions. Go look up Einstein Institute and his 198, nonviolent forms of uprising. I mean, they've been doing it around since, 40+ years, and it's here.
Got it, MOD. Got to go.
Alberto, they really got it down now.
Brother, it's on air now, and it's on tape, so we have what you just said. Thank you very much for calling, MOD.
All right.
Keep calling in, brother. Okay, let's go to Linea numero 1. Nicolas, tell me about single pair. I know, is this the event on the 8th or the 10th?
Yes. We have an event coming up, and it's going to be on July 8th.
Okay.
You mentioned an event on the 10th.
Yes.
The people who are organizing that actually stole the idea from the people who organized the event on the 8th.
Let me hold a second, Nicholas. Let me just say one thing, and I mean this with 100% respect. While you may be right, the more things that we have on single payer is what we want to do. So please tell me about your event on the 8th, which is going to be a wonderful event at the IBEW.
Sure, right. It's not my event. I'm just helping promote it.
Yes.
It's called Medicare for All Town Hall and Health Fair supporting HR 676. And the event is going to be really great, and there's an open invitation to any local people who are running for positions within Harris County or Houston. So I just wanted to let everyone know about that. The second thing that I was hoping to talk about really quick is you just mentioned with another caller about Jill Stein. And anybody who voted for Jill Stein is partially responsible for Trump. But what we fail to realize is that she only got 1% of the vote, whereas Gary Johnson got about 3.5% of the vote. So I don't think that it's fair to say that anybody who voted for Green Party helped Trump, especially because in the states where Jill Stein did get votes, it wouldn't have affected the outcome of the Electoral College for Trump as opposed to Hillary.
My friend, I don't want to relitigate, but if you go to Michigan, if you go to Pennsylvania, and if you go to, and I did the numbers, they do make an effect. But again, everybody's responsible for their vote, and I don't want to be accusatory at all. I don't want to do anything. Next election, you and I, and all of us have to work together to win. We have to stop. And let me just say this as far as progressives, and I say this with respect to all progressives out there. We have to forget about the nit-nat and all these little things, and we need to just work together. I like to just say, let's love each other, because if we love each other, we can just get together and work. But that's what we have to do.
Work together, and that's why I think that saying that anybody who voted for Jill Stein is responsible for Trump is a negative way to approach working together.
Well, good. For that, I apologize. Okay, if that touched your button, for that I apologize, because I am saying harmony, and if I destroyed that harmony for telling Ryan that, I shouldn't have. So, are we a square?
Yeah. I just also wanted to say one other thing about the vote.
Yes.
Half of Americans do not vote.
You're right.
Hillary didn't win the popular vote. Trump didn't win the popular vote. People who didn't vote won the popular vote.
Oh, I like the way you said that. Is so cute. Thank you. Look, you have a great one, Nicholas, and tell about your event real quickly. 15 seconds again.
Sure. So it's going to be in 2 days from now. Starts at 10 a.m., come early, ends at 2 p.m., and it's, as you mentioned, at the IBEW Local Union 716, and the address for that is 1475 North Loop West in Houston, Texas.
That's on Saturday at 10 a.m., folks, so heed. Thank you very much, Nicholas. Okay, let's jump to, before we get back to John, let's jump to Johnny and take that over. Johnny, you got 35 seconds, Johnny. Talk to me, sir.
Yeah, there's a concept in advertising that deals with this resonance problem that people have.
Yes.
For example, if you're not looking for a car, most car ads don't affect you. They buzz right by. It's when you're looking for a car, then you start paying attention to some of the ads. Likewise, when you have something like NPR airing the Declaration of Independence like they do every year.
Yes.
And maybe this year also doing it on Twitter.
Yes.
The response you got from the Trump supporters taking offense at it and looking for it to be offended all the time, that suggests that they have been in a mindset of making war and beating up on liberals, Democrats, progressives, not unlike the
15 seconds, Johnny.
Extremists in the 1930s did to their liberals. So that's why they reacted the way they did. It's because they're showing their guilt.
Look, brother, I'm not going to argue with that. Thank you for calling. Call earlier. You know better.
I called earlier. You guys dropped the ball this time.
Well, sorry.
I didn't recognize you with your bald head the other day at the radio station.
All right. That's all right, brother. You have a good one. Okay, my brother?
Okay, bye.
Take care now. Okay, John, give us a quick thing about your event before I go to the next call. You got 30 seconds.
Okay, very good. So we're talking about doing our part to take over the government, to retake the government for progressives. And so that's what we're doing. We're looking to flip Texas District 7. So we're going to have a town hall for progressive candidates on July the 20th from 6 to 9 p.m. at Yes Prep in Gulfton at 6565 DeMoss Drive. So reach out to us at Indivisible Houston, Texas District 7. You can find our page online. We got all the information about the event there. And we're also going to be posted on Egberto Willie's site.
Send me the information. I'll definitely do that. Okay,
Very
folks,
good.
you only have 30 seconds to talk each. Let's go to numero uno. Come on in, Masi.
Hi. How's it going?
Great. Talk to me, sir. 30 seconds.
Yes. I just wanted to continue after what that one guy was saying to you about the Jill Stein vote.
Yes.
I just wanted to mention that 9% of Democrats apparently did vote for Trump.
Okay.
So I do think that Democrats technically did help win the election for Trump and not necessarily the Green Party.
No,
That's all I wanted to say.
Masi, and that's a very good statement, a very important statement, a statement that I wrote about as well. And let me just put, a lot of people have only been saying, "Oh, Appalachia voted against your own interests." Well, as a black person myself, I have to remind folks that 15% of black men also voted for Trump. So there's a whole lot of blame to go around. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother. And let's go to Keith, line number 2. Keith, you're on.
Oh, okay. Just one quick statement about the what seems to be a pretty popular idea that if you vote for a third-party candidate, you're essentially voting for the greater of two evils, in a sense. And I guess my thought on that is that that's not necessarily correct.
Okay.
Because if you a vote for Jill Stein is a vote for Jill Stein, not necessarily Trump or Gary Johnson or whatever.
Right.
Because if Clinton
You got
was
15
supposed
seconds,
to get
sir.
those votes, then Clinton should have got those votes.
Okay, look,
And just real quick to wrap it up, what we need more of is a candidate that can bring in the vote.
Thank you, my friend. We got to go. Folks, thank you so kindly for being a part of Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis. Please chime in next week again at 3 p.m. Thursday. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. You can personally reach me by sending an email to egberto@politicsdoneright.com. Remember, Egberto is spelled E-G-B-E-R-T-O. Change starts with you. 90.1 KPFT gives you information not tainted by corporate interest. Please visit kpft.org and contribute. Let's ensure continued access to real information and news remain available to all. Again, thank you very much for listening to Politics Done Right.